William H. Bonney, alias Billy the Kid, would become one of the most notorious and famous outlaws in American history. His popularity and infamous exploits have been chronicled in books, movies, and documentaries.
His murders turned him into the nation's most wanted man.
And museums. Although his short-lived life would end in tragedy at hands of an old acquaintance and friend, Pat Garrett, his death would represent a triumphant turning point in territory of New Mexico, therefore leading to a need for law and order, which would eventually bring about the statehood in another lawless region of the West. William H. Bonney, alias Billy the Kid, was born on November 23, 1859 in New York City. Billy lost his mother, Catherine McCarty, and his father, Patrick McCarty, at a young age, and not much is known of his childhood. As he aged, he started a life of crime that, in time, led him west, joining a violent gang. The kid would soon be captured by guards and put on trial. He was sentenced to be hung, but he escaped prison. Billy's life came to an end at age 21. He was staying with his friend and girlfriend after his escape from prison. Sheriff Pat Garrett, who Billy called a friend, shot Billy dead in the dark of night. Many say that because of their past friendship, Sheriff Pat let Billy go and put someone else in his place. Billy the Kid was one of the most notorious Western outlaws of the United States during the late 1800s. Billy was the beginning of a new era for the state of New Mexico. He was one of the reasons why New Mexico needed law and order and was the reason why they got law and order. Billy began a young life of killing at just 12 years old. The young boy killed a man for sticking up for a bad man. After Billy killed the man, he fled his hometown and met Indians. Billy soon found himself in New Mexico. Throughout Billy's life, he was in gangs, wars, and committed countless crimes. The definition of an outlaw is a person who is a fugitive or broken the law. A shorter definition might be Billy the Kid. While Billy was a less-known outlaw, he met a man named Pat Garrett, who Billy considered a friend. Garrett comes into Billy's life at a much later time. Unfortunately, it was a more tragic time. Once, Billy killed 2 Indians who helped him steal horses. Afraid they would get him into trouble, Billy and his partner devised a plan to kill them. Billy is most well known for his contribution to the Lincoln County War. John Tunstall found himself in trouble with 2 men, Lawrence Murphy and James Dolan. They owned the only mercantile in the small New Mexico town. Lincoln County. Murphy and Dolan virtually controlled the trade of the county. Tunstall decided to open his own mercantile right next to Murphy and Lawrence's. Alarmed by Tunstall's mercantile, the 2 men legally harassed and tried to get Tunstall out of business. When that did not work, Dolan challenged Tunstall to a gunfight. Tunstall refused violence and hired Billy and several other cowboys to protect him. Dolan and Murphy soon obtained a court order to seize a few of Tunstall's horses as a payment for an outstanding debt. When Tunstall refused, the sheriff formed a posse to seize the horses. Tunstall protested their presence and was shot in the head. This incident began the Lincoln County War. The Kid was greatly affected by this because he said Tunstall was the only man that treated him like he was freeborn and white. At Tunstall's funeral, Billy swore to kill anyone who killed John Tunstall. Until Billy's death, he was one of the most wanted outlaws of New Mexico. Although law and order came many years after Billy was killed, he made New Mexico realize their need for law and order. Billy was killed by his friend, Sheriff Pat Garrett. Before Garrett had been sheriff, he had met Billy. They became friends, but later in life, they became enemies. Billy was finally captured and sentenced to a hanging. Billy escaped prison to his friend's house where he met his girlfriend. The sheriff, Pat Garrett, had been trying to track Billy for quite a while. He tracked him to his location at Billy's friend's house. Late one night, Billy got up and walked into a dark room. He thought he heard someone and called out searching for them. When he turned around, he was shot right in the heart by Sheriff Pat Garrett. There are rumors that because Pat and Billy were friends, he shot someone else who wasn't Billy and allowed Billy to escape.